Eli had always liked living in Nova Haven. The orbital city hung like a shining jewel above the blue-green planet of Lyrion, spinning silently as ships came and went like busy bees. Humans were not the only residents here. Nova Haven was home to dozens of alien species, each with its own strange habits, colors, and voices. But for Eli, humans had a charm no alien could ever match. Their cleverness, humor, and emotional depth made them unpredictable and, in his opinion, far superior. On this particular morning, Eli was in his apartment workshop, tinkering with a small hover drone. Its tiny motors whirred and clicked as he adjusted the circuits. Mira, his friend and fellow engineer, sat nearby, sketching new designs for a solar sail that could capture more energy from Lyrion's sun. "You're going to burn yourself if you keep doing that," Mira said, eyes half on her sketches, half on the little sparks flying from the drone. "I'm careful," Eli replied with a grin, tightening a wire. "Besides, these sparks are proof I'm alive," Mira laughed softly. "Some sparks are proof you're going to blow the place up." Eli leaned back, holding the tiny drone in his hands. "Maybe. But where's the fun in life without a little risk?" Just then, a movement outside the window caught their attention. Zorblin, their alien neighbor, was hovering by his apartment's viewing panel. Zorblin's skin shimmered in shifting shades of violet and green, his tentacle-like limbs waving as he peered curiously at Eli and Mira. His large, glowing eyes, almost too big for his narrow head, blinked rapidly. Eli noticed the way Zorblin stared, a little twitch in his limbs. "Uh-oh," Eli muttered. "He's watching us again." Mira looked at the alien and raised an eyebrow. "He always stares when we do. Normal human stuff. What are you worried about this time?" Eli shrugged. But a mischievous smile played across his face. "It's hard to explain. Humans are complicated, you know. Our gestures, our expressions. Sometimes aliens just don't get them." Mira leaned back and watched Zorblin's movements. "Is it jealousy again?" Eli's grin widened. "Definitely jealousy. He gets that twitch in his tentacles whenever he sees, well, human interactions. And that was when Eli did it." He leaned over and planted a quick, friendly kiss on Mira's cheek, a human gesture of closeness and friendship. Nothing more. Zorblin froze. His limbs stiffened, and his glowing eyes widened. The colors on his skin shifted erratically. Something Eli had learned was Zorblin's version of panic or shock. The alien had completely misinterpreted the gesture. "Oh no," Eli muttered, stepping back with a nervous laugh. "Not again," Mira smirked. "You really don't help, do you?" Zorblin's tentacles twitched violently as he muttered sounds Eli couldn't fully understand. From what he had learned over the months, this was Zorblin's way of saying, "I don't understand. I don't like this. I need to know why." Eli waved at him, trying to reassure him. "Relax, Zorblin. It's not what you think. It's just a friendly gesture." But Zorblin didn't relax. Instead, he seemed to puff himself up, his skin glowing brighter, as if he were trying to appear larger and more intimidating, a common display in his species when feeling strong emotion. Mira laughed softly. "He really needs a human handbook. Or maybe a video tutorial." Eli shook his head. "No handbook would explain this. Humans, we're weird, emotional, unpredictable, and clever in ways even you can't understand, Mira." Just then, a small notification pinged from the building's public network. Another alien resident had seen Zorblin's reactions and was streaming the incident live to Nova Haven's social hub. Within minutes, dozens of other aliens were watching. Some were confused, some were amused, and some looked fascinated. Mira raised an eyebrow. "Looks like we're famous again." Eli groaned. "Great. Now they'll all think humans are, well, complicated in ways that might scare them." But Eli wasn't just worried, he was intrigued. This was the perfect chance to show why humans were remarkable. Humans could solve problems, adapt, and charm even the most skeptical of aliens. Humans had humor, empathy, and ingenuity. And right now, Nova Haven's residents were watching humans in action. "You know what?" Eli said, an idea forming. "This could be fun. Let's teach Zorblin a little lesson in human behavior." Mira tilted her head. "You mean deliberately confuse him further?" "Not confuse. Enlighten. Show him that humans are clever, fun, and surprisingly brave. And maybe, just maybe, we can turn his jealousy into something useful." The day unfolded with Eli and Mira setting up small challenges around their apartments, miniature engineering puzzles, harmless pranks, and demonstrations of human creativity. Zorblin watched everything with his glowing eyes wide, trying to mimic gestures, misinterpreting some, and finally starting to grasp others. He even attempted a tiny, awkward, friendly tap with his tentacle on Mira's arm, earning a chuckle from her. By the time Lyrion's sun dipped toward the horizon, Zorblin was visibly exhausted. His skin had shifted through every shade of violet, green, and blue, and he had tripped over his own tentacles more than once. But Eli noticed something remarkable, a subtle shift in his expression, almost like pride. Zorblin had begun to understand humans, just a little. Eli leaned back in his chair, watching the alien. "See, Mira? Humans aren't just clever. They're patient, adaptable, and sometimes a little mischievous." Mira smiled. "And maybe that's what makes us irresistible." Zorblin made a small, uncertain sound, almost like a chuckle, and Eli laughed. "That's the spirit. Just wait until tomorrow. We're going to show you even more. By the end of the week, you'll be teaching other aliens how to be human." The first day of lessons ended with laughter, small sparks of admiration from other aliens watching from the public network, and a human demonstration of empathy, wit, and courage. Eli knew that this was only the beginning. Nova Haven was a city full of challenges, curiosity, and opportunity. And humans were about to show the galaxy why they were extraordinary. And somewhere in the distance, Zorblin twitched his tentacles thoughtfully, clearly planning how he might one day fully understand humans, and maybe even surpass their cleverness. Eli looked at Mira and said, "Don't worry. He'll never catch up. But he'll try." Mira laughed, shaking her head. "That's humans for you." The orbital city spun silently above Lyrion, but for Eli, Mira, and a very curious alien neighbor, the day had been full of sparks, laughter, and the unmistakable proof that humans, small, fragile, but brilliant, had something no other species could match. The next morning, Nova Haven seemed quieter than usual. The orbital city floated above Lyrion, its lights twinkling like stars scattered across a black velvet sky. Eli and Mira were already awake, moving through the narrow corridors of their apartment, preparing for another day of tinkering and experimentation. "Do you think Zorblin got any sleep last night?" Mira asked, sipping from a cup of glowing, warm Lyrionian tea. Eli chuckled. "Doubt it. His brain probably raced 1,000 miles per hour, trying to figure out humans. But that's fine. Today, we'll teach him even more." Before Mira could respond, a soft knock echoed from the apartment window. Zorblin floated outside, his skin flickering through shades of blue, green, and violet, a clear sign he was both nervous and curious. He gave a tentative wave with his tentacles. Eli grinned. "Good morning, Zorblin. Ready for today's lessons?" Zorblin's tentacles twitched in agreement, though his glowing eyes betrayed a hint of anxiety. Today, Eli had decided, would be more challenging. The first day had been fun, playful, and full of harmless pranks, but now it was time to show Zorblin what humans could really do. "First," Eli began, "we need to see how well you can adapt. Humans are clever, but we also need patience. Watch carefully." He handed Zorblin a small puzzle box made of tiny interlocking parts. On the surface, the box seemed ordinary, but inside, a tiny mechanism triggered a light display only when solved correctly. Zorblin's large eyes widened as he tentatively touched the box with his tentacle. "This is human?" Zorblin asked in his peculiar, warbling voice. The sound unfamiliar to the human ear, but clear enough to convey curiosity. "Exactly," Eli said. It looks simple, but solving it requires observation, trial and error, and thinking ahead. Humans excel at that. Zorblin began manipulating the pieces, twisting, pushing, and pulling. Sparks flew occasionally from a misaligned part, causing Mira to jump back with a laugh. Eli, amused, watched carefully. Minutes passed. Zorblin's movements were clumsy at first. He seemed frustrated when parts didn't fit, his skin flickering violet as he muttered half-understood sounds. But slowly, the alien began to understand the patterns, his long tentacles moving with increasing confidence. "Not bad," Eli exclaimed when the box clicked open. A cascade of tiny lights danced inside, spinning in a miniature galaxy. "See? Humans think creatively. We fail a lot, but we keep trying, and when we succeed, it's beautiful." Zorblin's eyes widened, reflecting the light show. For the first time, he seemed genuinely impressed. "I understand a little. Humans are persistent." "Exactly," Mira said, smiling. "Persistence, creativity, patience. These are things humans are good at. Things even the smartest aliens sometimes can't do." Eli watched Zorblin closely. He was learning, but there was a deeper issue forming other aliens were beginning to notice. Through the public network, streams of Zorblin's attempts were being shared. Comments, questions, and curious messages poured in from all over Nova Haven. Some aliens were amused. Some were confused. Others, however, were concerned. By midday, Eli and Mira received a notification from the Orbital City's council. A small group of aliens wanted to meet them. The message was polite but firm. "Human residents, we would like to discuss your recent demonstrations." Eli looked at Mira, eyebrows raised. "Uh-oh, that doesn't sound fun." Mira shrugged. "Probably just curious. Or maybe jealous of Zorblin's progress. Either way, humans can handle this." By the time they reached the council chamber, a gathering of aliens from various species had already assembled. Some floated, some hovered on mechanical platforms, and a few simply stood. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to suspicion. Eli stepped forward, trying to keep his tone calm and friendly. "Greetings. I'm Eli, and this is Mira. We understand you have questions about our human behavior." An alien with translucent wings and a shimmering blue body floated to the front. "Your displays are unusual. The gestures, the emotions, the interactions, they confuse us. We wish to understand." Mira smiled warmly. "That's fair. Humans are complicated. But we also have a way of showing our value. Humor, creativity, emotional intelligence. We don't just survive, we thrive in ways other species sometimes don't." Eli nodded. "Exactly. And today, you'll see why humans are remarkable." The council murmured among themselves, a mix of skepticism and interest. Eli and Mira then invited Zorblin to demonstrate what he had learned. The alien's tentacles twitched nervously, but he stepped forward, carefully manipulating another puzzle Eli had prepared. This time, the mechanism triggered a miniature model of Nova Haven itself, with tiny lights showing the orbital paths of ships. The room gasped. Even the council seemed impressed. Zorblin, under human guidance, had succeeded in creating something functional and clever. "Remarkable," one council member said. "This is human ingenuity." Eli grinned. "Thank you. Humans take risks, we experiment, and we help others learn along the way. Zorblin is just the beginning. Imagine if we could teach all of Nova Haven's residents to think this way." Some aliens whispered among themselves. One of the council members, a tall, jagged species with crystalline limbs, seemed particularly wary. "Or it could be dangerous. Humans are unpredictable. Your methods may inspire, but they may also disrupt." Eli tilted his head. "Unpredictable? Yes. Dangerous? Only if you ignore our creativity. Humans solve problems that others cannot, adapt to situations others fear, and use humor and empathy as tools. Isn't that worth observing? The council murmured again, this time with more thoughtfulness. Mira added, and that's exactly what we're trying to show. Zorblin's progress is proof that humans can teach, guide, and even improve the understanding of other species. For the next few hours, Eli, Mira, and Zorblin demonstrated a series of human-inspired exercises, teamwork challenges, problem-solving tasks, and even playful activities meant to teach patience and observation. Some aliens failed, some succeeded partially, and some, like Zorblin, surprised everyone with their quick adaptation. By the end of the session, the council's attitude had shifted. They weren't just observing humans, they were respecting them. They saw humans' cleverness, resilience, and ability to inspire others. As the meeting concluded, the crystalline alien spoke again. Perhaps humans have value beyond survival. Perhaps your unpredictable methods can teach others something we have not yet learned. Eli smiled, glancing at Mira. That's right. Humans aren't perfect, but we are resourceful, curious, and yes, sometimes a little mischievous. Zorblin's tentacles twitched happily. He had learned more than just puzzles today. He had learned that humans were clever, persistent, and able to turn even confusion into progress. As Eli and Mira left the chamber, the alien neighbors gave them respectful nods. Some even smiled, though in alien ways. It was hard to tell. But Eli didn't mind. He knew one thing. Humans had once again proven themselves. And now the rest of Nova Haven was starting to see why humans were extraordinary. Back in their apartment, Eli sat on a small hovering chair, letting out a long breath. That was intense. Mira laughed, moving to the window to watch Zorblin float nearby. But look at him. He's learning, and he's happy. We've made a difference today, Eli smiled. Exactly. And tomorrow, we'll go further. Humans aren't just clever, they inspire, adapt, and survive in ways no one else can. And Zorblin? He's going to be our first ambassador for human ingenuity. As night fell over Nova Haven, the orbital city glowed against the dark canvas of space. Humans, tiny but brilliant, had once again demonstrated their value, and in the distance, Zorblin twitched his tentacles thoughtfully, ready for the challenges of tomorrow. Eager to learn more about the species that fascinated him so deeply. For Eli and Mira, the day had been exhausting, exhilarating, and full of proof that humans, even small ones in a vast galaxy, could shine brighter than most anyone imagined. The next morning, Nova Haven seemed unusually tense. The orbital city floated silently above Lyrion, its metallic structures reflecting the distant sun like 1,000 tiny mirrors. Eli and Mira had just begun their morning routine when an urgent notification appeared on Eli's wrist communicator. Eli, you need to see this, Mira said, pointing to the flashing alert. Eli tapped the screen. Images filled the display. Zorblin's earlier demonstrations, once entertaining and harmless, had been misinterpreted by another group of aliens. These newcomers were not friendly observers but a small faction of Nova Haven residents who believed humans were manipulative, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. What the? Eli muttered. They think we're plotting something? Mira frowned. It seems our little lessons with Zorblin didn't reach everyone the way we intended. Eli rubbed his temples. Of course not. Humans are clever, but our intentions are not always obvious to aliens who don't understand humor or empathy. Before they could plan their next move, a knock came at their door. Outside hovered a messenger drone from the council. It carried a note, stamped with the official seal of Nova Haven. Human residents, your actions have attracted attention. A delegation from the Orbital Security Division requests your presence immediately. Failure to comply may result in restriction of your activities. Eli sighed. Looks like our experiment has consequences. Big ones. Mira nodded. Well, humans are resourceful. We'll figure this out. They entered the council chamber later that morning. The room was tense. A group of alien delegates, Some, armed with observation devices, floated around the large central table. Their expressions were serious, and their postures indicated suspicion. A crystalline alien with jagged limbs stepped forward. "Humans, your actions have been noted. Zorblin's demonstrations, your interactions while entertaining to some, have caused concern among others. There is fear that humans may be unpredictable agents of chaos." Eli took a deep breath. "We understand your concern, but humans are not agents of chaos. We are problem solvers, creators, and adapters. Everything we did with Zorblin was to teach, guide, and show that humans can improve understanding, not harm." Another alien, a tall, dark-skinned being with 4 arms, spoke next. "Yet your actions were interpreted differently by others. Many fear your unpredictability could destabilize Nova Haven's systems or create conflict." Mira stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "That's the thing about humans. We are unpredictable to those who don't understand us. But unpredictability does not mean danger. It means we can handle situations others cannot. Watch and learn." Eli smiled. "Exactly. Humans are small, yes. But we adapt, we improvise, and we solve problems in ways other species cannot. If you give us a chance, we can prove it." The council murmured, some still skeptical. Then, without warning, the chamber lights flickered. Outside, the orbital city's network reported a serious malfunction. Ship traffic sensors went offline, and sections of Nova Haven's energy grid began fluctuating dangerously. One delegate gasped. "Systems are failing. Something or someone is interfering." Eli's eyes widened. "This is serious. But it's also an opportunity. A chance to show what humans are really capable of." Mira nodded. "We need to investigate, stabilize, and resolve this. Let's move." The 2 humans rushed to the nearest observation hub. Screens displayed the city's systems in chaos. Hovering transports floating without guidance, energy conduits flickering erratically, and communication links dropping intermittently. It was clear that the rogue alien faction had activated a series of disruptions to test or intimidate the humans. Eli scanned the systems. "These disruptions are clever. They're designed to test our responses. But they didn't anticipate human creativity." Mira frowned. "We need a plan. And fast." Eli's mind raced. "First, we divide and conquer. I'll handle the energy grids and transport controls. You take communication channels and system diagnostics. Zorblin can assist. He's learned enough to follow instructions and help us troubleshoot." Zorblin floated over, his tentacles twitching nervously. "I will help," he said. Eli nodded. The alien's enthusiasm, though hesitant, was sincere. As they worked, Eli realized something remarkable. Humans were designed for problem-solving under pressure. While the aliens panicked or hesitated, humans acted quickly, improvising solutions and adapting to unexpected conditions. With Zorblin's assistance, they patched unstable energy conduits, rerouted ship traffic, and restored key communication links. Minutes stretched into hours. Nova Haven's residents watched from their apartments and public hubs, anxiously observing the humans' actions. The rogue faction tried to sabotage them further, activating random malfunctions and security locks. But Eli's quick thinking and Mira's methodical problem-solving allowed them to stay ahead. At one point, Eli rigged a small drone to carry energy modules directly to failing conduits. Mira coordinated a network of sensor drones to identify hidden faults and redirect power where needed. Zorblin, following their instructions, manually operated backup panels and relayed crucial information. Together, they formed a human-alien team capable of solving problems that no other group could manage under the pressure. Finally, after hours of tense work, the systems stabilized. Lights returned to normal. Ship traffic resumed, and communication channels were fully restored. The city had survived the disruption, thanks entirely to the humans' creativity, determination, and ability to act under pressure. The council chamber received a live feed of the resolution. The delegates' expressions shifted from suspicion to astonishment. One crystalline alien spoke first. Incredible. Humans, your actions have not only resolved the crisis, but prevented what could have been a major catastrophe. Your unpredictability is an asset when paired with intelligence and courage. Eli smirked. Thank you. That's exactly what I've been trying to show. Humans don't just react. We adapt, improvise, and turn challenges into opportunities. Mira added. And we don't do it alone. Collaboration, trust, and understanding, these are also human strengths. Zorblin here is proof. Together, we solve what others cannot. Zorblin's tentacles twitched proudly. He had never felt more useful, more integrated, or more respected. His admiration for humans, especially Eli and Mira, had grown exponentially. The rogue alien faction, who had initially tried to intimidate the humans, now looked uneasy. They had underestimated the small, clever species. Humans, they realized, were not to be dismissed. Their ingenuity and courage were formidable, and any attempt to control or intimidate them could backfire. Later that evening, Eli and Mira returned to their apartment. Exhausted, but exhilarated. They sank into hovering chairs, sipping warm Lyrionian tea. Did you see their faces? Mira asked, shaking her head. They were stunned. Humans saved the city, and they know it, Eli chuckled. It's amazing what a little creativity and courage can do. And Zorblin? He did really well. Zorblin hovered nearby, his glowing skin now a steady, calm shade of green. I never realized humans could do so much. I respect you, Eli smiled. And that, my friend, is why humans are extraordinary. Small, fragile, but brilliant. And we never give up. As Nova Haven settled for the night, Eli looked out at the city lights and thought about the future. The rogue faction had tested humans, but humans had passed. And not just passed, they had proven their value, their resilience, and their unique abilities. Tomorrow, Eli knew, would bring new challenges. More aliens might doubt, question, or even oppose humans. But he also knew one truth. Humans were clever, determined, and capable of achieving what others could not. And with Mira and Zorblin by his side, Eli felt ready for anything. The stars outside twinkled silently. But within Nova Haven, one small species the humans had made their presence impossible to ignore. And somewhere deep inside the city's circuits and networks, Eli felt the spark of the next challenge forming, a test that would require every ounce of human ingenuity, courage, and creativity. Humans had turned a potential disaster into triumph, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The following day, Nova Haven woke to an unusual calm. The city's orbital platforms reflected Lyrion's sun, like polished glass. But beneath that calm, tension simmered. The rogue alien faction had not forgotten the humans' success yesterday. Some delegates openly muttered that humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and capable of outsmarting even the cleverest aliens. Eli and Mira, however, were not worried. Humans thrived on challenges. Where others saw danger, they saw opportunity. Today, Eli had a plan, a demonstration unlike anything Nova Haven had seen before. It would not only prove humans' intelligence but also their courage, creativity, and ability to unite disparate species. Ready for another day of chaos? Mira asked, adjusting her work gloves. Eli grinned. Chaos? No. Today, we create brilliance. Zorblin hovered nearby, his skin pulsing a steady green. I will help, he said cautiously. His earlier lessons had shown him the value of human guidance, and he now trusted their judgment completely. The humans began by calling a public assembly. Nova Haven's residents, curious and anxious, floated into the central observation hub. Screens displayed live feeds of human activities from their apartments and workshops. The rogue faction watched from the back, their eyes narrowed, skeptical as ever. Eli stepped forward onto a small platform, his confidence radiating. "Friends of Nova Haven," he began. "Yesterday, humans faced a challenge. Systems failed, and the city teetered on chaos. But with teamwork, creativity, and persistence, we solved it." Mira joined him. "Today, we invite you to witness the next step. Humans are clever, adaptable, and sometimes a little mischievous. But our abilities are real, and our intent is always to create, protect, and inspire." The crowd watched, a mix of anticipation and skepticism filling the air. Then, Eli pressed a small device in his hand. Across the city, miniature drones began moving in synchronized patterns, forming shapes, symbols, and eventually, a three-dimensional map of Nova Haven itself. Lights flashed in patterns that simulated energy flows, transport routes, and communication links. Zorblin assisted, operating panels to adjust energy levels, and even correcting minor misalignments. The crowd gasped. Never before had they seen such precision, creativity, and coordination from a single species, humans. Eli spoke as the drones moved. "This is what humans do. We observe, we adapt, and we create solutions that others cannot even imagine. The city is alive, and we can help it function at its best." Mira continued. "But humans are not just clever with machines. We also bring understanding, empathy, and cooperation. Watch closely." At her command, drones began forming human silhouettes performing collaborative tasks. Each figure represented a human trait: teamwork, problem-solving, courage, and even humor. The silhouettes interacted with holographic alien forms, demonstrating humans' ability to communicate, adapt, and guide other species. Some aliens whispered to each other. Others tilted their heads in curiosity. The rogue faction's faces tightened. They had expected disruption, not demonstration. They had expected chaos, not creativity. Then came the final part of the display. Eli pressed another button, and a series of small, hovering platforms lit up. On each platform, humans and alien volunteers began performing a coordinated task: rerouting energy flows in real time, solving a simulated system malfunction, and doing it all faster and more efficiently than any alien technology alone could manage. The audience erupted in applause. Even Zorblin's tentacles twitched in excitement. The aliens saw what humans had been trying to show all along. Unpredictability, combined with intelligence, could create unmatched results. One of the council members, the crystalline alien who had doubted humans before, stepped forward. "Humans, your methods are unconventional, but they are effective beyond what we imagined. You have proven your value today, not just with skill, but with vision." Eli nodded, a hint of pride in his eyes. "Thank you. Humans are not perfect, but we are resourceful, inventive, and resilient. And we thrive when we work with others, alien or human." The rogue faction, who had tried to intimidate and test humans, now looked uncomfortable. They had underestimated a small, clever species. One that could solve problems faster, adapt better, and inspire cooperation in ways they could not anticipate. But Eli had saved the best for last. From his workstation, he activated a final demonstration, a city-wide light display that recreated a story of human ingenuity. It showed how humans had overcome challenges, solved critical problems, and built trust with other species. The visuals were mesmerizing. Drones, holograms, and energy patterns danced across Nova Haven's orbital platforms, telling a story of courage, creativity, and perseverance. As the story ended, Eli looked over the crowd. There were no more skeptical eyes, only admiration, curiosity, and respect. Zorblin twitched happily, a proud student now transformed into an ambassador for humans' brilliance. Mira whispered to Eli, "They finally get it." Eli smiled. "They do. Humans shine brightest when challenges are at their worst. And we've just proven it. The council called an emergency meeting after the display. They discussed humans' abilities, their creativity, and their capacity to handle challenges that threatened the city. Recommendations were made to include humans in more strategic roles, from city planning to technical operations. The rogue faction was forced to acknowledge the humans' skills, if reluctantly. Later, Eli and Mira returned to their apartment, exhausted but elated. The city was buzzing with excitement. Other aliens approached them, curious and eager to learn more about humans' unique capabilities. Some asked for lessons. Others simply wanted to observe. Zorblin floated beside them, his glowing eyes reflecting pride and admiration. I never imagined humans could do so much. I respect you, and I want to continue learning. Eli ruffled one of Zorblin's smaller tentacles playfully. That's the spirit. You've learned well, and you've helped humans shine even brighter. Mira laughed softly. I think he's learning faster than we expected. He might even teach other aliens a thing or two. Eli nodded. Exactly. That's the beauty of humans. We adapt, inspire, and excel where others doubt us. Nova Haven will never see the galaxy the same way again. As night fell over the orbital city, Eli looked out at the distant stars. He knew the challenges were far from over. Other species might still misunderstand humans. The rogue faction might try to undermine them, but he also knew one truth. When humans acted together, with creativity, courage, and persistence, they could overcome any obstacle. For Nova Haven, and perhaps the galaxy, humans had become more than residents. They had become an example of ingenuity, bravery, and adaptability, a small species with an unmatched ability to turn crises into triumphs. Zorblin's glowing skin flickered softly, echoing Eli's sentiments. He had learned, witnessed, and participated in something extraordinary. He now understood what humans were capable of and why their presence in Nova Haven was not just tolerated, it was essential. Eli and Mira smiled at each other. We've done more than survive, Eli said quietly. We've shown them why humans are extraordinary. And tomorrow, Mira added, we continue to shine. The orbital city spun silently above Lyrion, a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and the power of teamwork. And within its glowing corridors, Eli, Mira, and a very proud alien neighbor were ready for whatever challenge came next. For in the vast galaxy, humans had proven themselves once again. Small, clever, and determined, capable of feats no one could predict, and impossible to ignore. The morning after their spectacular display, Nova Haven was alive with energy. The orbital city floated above Lyrion like a polished gem, and its inhabitants buzzed with excitement. Word of Eli and Mira's achievements had spread quickly. Humans were no longer just residents, they had become symbols of ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Eli stretched in his apartment, watching the city wake. Feels good, doesn't it? He said to Mira, who was floating beside him, sipping a cup of warm Lyrionian tea. Mira smiled. It does. We've shown everyone what humans can do. But you know, some are still wary. Not everyone understands us yet. Eli nodded. True. But that's okay. Humans have always been like that, misunderstood, until they prove themselves. Today, we've done that in style. Outside, Zorblin twitched his tentacles, glowing a calm green. I feel proud, he said softly. Not just for humans, but for being part of this. Eli ruffled one of Zorblin's smaller tentacles playfully. Proud? You should be. You've learned fast. Helped more than you think. And now you're part of the team that changed how Nova Haven sees humans. The first item on the agenda that morning was a meeting with the council. Eli, Mira, and Zorblin floated into the chamber, where the delegates waited. Unlike the tense gatherings before, this one had a different atmosphere. The council members' expressions were warm, respectful, and curious. Even the crystalline alien who had been so skeptical before gave a subtle nod of approval. You have exceeded our expectations, one delegate said. Humans, your creativity, adaptability, and courage are remarkable. Nova Haven is safer, stronger, and more unified because of your actions. Eli smiled, feeling a sense of pride. Thank you. Humans aren't perfect, but we thrive when we face challenges. And we never underestimate the power of teamwork and creativity. Another delegate, a tall alien with long, flowing limbs, added, Zorblin's guidance, combined with your ingenuity, demonstrates that humans can teach, inspire, and lead without coercion. You have earned respect, not just by solving problems, but by showing the value of your species to others. Zorblin's tentacles twitched happily. I am honored to have helped humans. I have learned more than I imagined. Mira smiled at the alien. And that's the point. Humans thrive when we collaborate, share knowledge, and encourage growth in others. You are part of that growth. The council then addressed the rogue faction. The once skeptical aliens had no choice but to acknowledge the humans' abilities. They had underestimated a species they thought small and fragile. Now, they had to recognize humans as a force to be respected, not feared. Later that day, Eli and Mira walked through the city's observation decks, accompanied by Zorblin. The city was bustling, with aliens from different species interacting peacefully, watching humans and learning from their ingenuity. Small groups gathered around human demonstrations, puzzles, creative problem-solving tasks, and collaborative projects. Eli whispered to Mira, "Look at that. Our lessons are spreading. Humans are not just survivors, they are innovators, teachers, and leaders." Mira laughed softly. And all it took was a little courage, patience, and a lot of cleverness. Humans really do shine brightest when it matters most. In one corner of the city, a group of alien children watched Eli and Mira guide Zorblin through a complex energy rerouting simulation. The children's eyes widened as they realized that humans, small and fragile compared to their own species, could solve problems that even adults struggled with. Eli knelt beside them. Remember this. Being human isn't just about strength or size. It's about creativity, teamwork, and determination. If you ever face a challenge, think like humans do. Look for solutions where others see obstacles. The children nodded, fascinated, their curiosity sparked. Mira added, and never forget humor. Humans solve problems with cleverness, and a little laughter goes a long way. By evening, Nova Haven held a public celebration. The city's lights shimmered across the orbital platforms, illuminating the crowd of aliens and humans alike. Eli, Mira, and Zorblin stood on the central stage, where a holographic display showcased the events of the past 2 days. The display highlighted humans' achievements, stabilizing the city's systems, teaching Zorblin, and demonstrating creativity and courage. The audience clapped and cheered. Some aliens, who had doubted humans at first, now looked at them with awe and respect. One council member stepped forward, addressing the crowd. Let this celebration mark a new era in Nova Haven. Humans have proven themselves capable of extraordinary feats. Their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability are a gift to our city and a lesson to all species. We honor them today. Eli waved at the crowd, feeling a warmth he had never known. Thank you. Humans are small. Yes, but we are clever, persistent, and full of heart. If we can do this for Nova Haven, imagine what we can do across the galaxy. Mira smiled, nodding in agreement. And the best part? We do it together with friends, allies, and even those who once doubted us. That's the human way. Zorblin's tentacles twitched happily. I never thought humans could inspire so many. I am grateful to have learned from you. Eli chuckled. And we're grateful for your help. Today, humans have shown that collaboration, creativity, and courage can overcome fear and misunderstanding. As the celebration continued, Eli and Mira found a quiet spot overlooking the city. Lights reflected in their eyes as ships moved gracefully along orbital paths. Nova Haven had changed in a single day, thanks to humans. The city had witnessed the strength, ingenuity, and spirit of a species small in size but limitless in potential. Mira leaned against Eli. "Do you think they'll remember this?" Eli smiled, his gaze on the bustling city below. "They'll remember humans as a species to respect, to learn from, and to rely on. And we'll keep proving it every day, in every challenge. That's who we are." The night deepened, and Nova Haven glowed softly under Lyrian's light. Aliens mingled with humans, sharing knowledge, laughter, and curiosity. For Eli, Mira, and Zorblin, the day was more than a victory. It was proof that courage, cleverness, and heart could change perspectives, build trust, and earn respect, even across species. As they floated back to their apartment, Eli looked at Zorblin. "You know, you've come a long way. From jealousy to admiration, and now to respect. That's progress." Zorblin's tentacles twitched proudly. "I have learned more than I expected. Humans are extraordinary." Eli laughed softly. "That's one way to put it. And tomorrow, we'll face new challenges. Nova Haven isn't finished testing humans yet." Mira grinned. "And humans will continue to shine. That's just who we are." Eli glanced at the city one last time before the day ended. He knew that while humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, their ingenuity, courage, and teamwork would always set them apart. Nova Haven had witnessed it. The galaxy would eventually witness it, and as the orbital city spun silently above Lyrion, a small species of humans rested peacefully, knowing they had earned respect, inspired others, and proven that even the smallest beings could leave a mark across the stars. Eli, Mira, and Zorblin smiled at each other. Humanity's journey was just beginning, but for now, they had shone brighter than anyone imagined. For Nova Haven, humans had become not just residents, but beacons of ingenuity, courage, and hope. And in a galaxy full of wonders, one truth remained clear. Humans were extraordinary, impossible to ignore, and capable of feats no one could predict.